Hello and welcome to Nerds Amalgamated. I'm the Professor and my co-host is the DJ. Our friend Debbie Boy is still indisposed with his assignments, so it's just us for tonight. How have you been going, DJ?
I've been going good. Getting cold, but good nonetheless.
I like the cold. I thrive in this because, you see, the problem is my brain. It's blood cool. Like, instead of water cooling a PC, it's like having blood going through it. But the rest of me is a really bad radiator. So when it's cold outside, I perform better.
So your secret is not coffee.
No.
It's cold.
Yep.
All right, now I know what to get for you on your birthday next time. Maybe an air conditioner.
I've got an air conditioner. It's bloody expensive.
I take it you performed really well at work when the air conditioner is on?
Yeah, but then we get people complaining it's too cold. Honestly, I seem to be the only one there who never complains that it's too cold. And sometimes it's 24 degrees, so I don't know what they're whinging about.
Come on, this is the people we're talking about here. Like, people complain about anything. They complain about anything and everything.
You're right, we'll just have to listen to you for 5 minutes. But anyway, our first topic for tonight is a science topic. We've actually got 2 science topics for tonight, but the next one's further on in the show. So the first one for tonight is the upside of virtual meetings. Now, you've read you're looking at the paper for this, haven't you, DJ?
The abstract of this, and it's interesting. Sorry.
What's the advantage?
The advantage to this would be venues don't have to pay a bucket load of money just to prepare stuff for the guests, and they could do this at the comfort of their own home.
And the other advantage, I reckon, even aside from that, I don't go to many conferences. I go to a couple of game dev conferences in Brisbane, but they're few and far between. And most of the conferences I watch are online because it costs way too much for me to fly to Germany for GDC.
How much does it cost for you?
Even just a ticket to GDC is quite a lot.
Wow.
I think the GDC ticket, just off the top of my head, was $1,300.
Oh, that's for the flight, right? Or is that for the tickets?
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to open the gdconf.com website, and I'm getting forbidden. You don't have permission to access this resource, which is odd. But let's see, a comment here on Reddit from 2016 says that the main conference pass is $1,000 on sale.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, but GDC is really good at recording their speeches, and I'd like to see more conferences go online because it makes it a lot better quality for if they're planning ahead to record. It makes it a lot better for those of us who want to listen from home.
Well, in this article, they're saying that this new format poses many technical and organizational challenges, but it offers opportunities such as wider audiences, reducing the carbon footprint of meeting travel, and improving diversity and equity. For some meetings, the shift may be permanent. So I think they're looking more into the aspect of, instead of just traveling to the said location, you can do this at the comfort of your own home, and you don't have to change clothes. Great.
Although, as I keep in mind, the other advantage is you don't end up with all your doctors trapped on a cruise off the coast of Chile because they went to a conference. There was a conference cruise held earlier this year off the coast of Chile. The coronavirus blew in and shut down South America, and they could not come home. Yeah.
Talk about bad timing.
It was not great.
What's interesting though is I wonder how companies would deal with this sort of situation though. I mean, if this becomes a new norm, do you get we're going to restrict your conference budget? You can do this online.
Yes, please, because it saves money for the company, it saves money for the staff, it saves greenhouse emissions from flying. I reckon you see all those photos of the air being cleaner because nobody's going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's what we could have all the time if we stopped flying.
Yeah, but do we really want to though? I mean... Well,
I reckon flying for pleasure is not too bad. Although the price would probably go up hugely if it's stopped being subsidized by corporate travel.
Yeah.
I reckon they probably rely on corporate travel for a lot of flights. But there's no reason we can't have flights.
Yeah.
Just we should try to cut back, because even the most efficient aircraft are like the equivalent of a small car per person. So that's not any better than driving.
See, if there's one sector that needs to have limited flying, it's the politicians. Man, those guys fly so many times.
Yep.
Like the scientists should have more flying benefits than the politicians. Politicians, all they do is they just fly from one country to another, chin wag and a photo op, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't. Not entirely sure why politicians feel like they have to fly so far, even if it's just to a footy game in your own country.
Yeah, but my biggest gripe with this one, with doing online meetings, is imagine if you're in the middle of a keynote speech and all of a sudden the internet goes down.
I mean, the power could go off in your conference hall. That happens. Is it the CEX, I think? A couple of years ago, CEX had a big problem because they were drawing so much power they kept tripping the breaker. And that's a big technology show, so if you trip the breaker, it doesn't keep going. You can't show off your fancy new TV if the fancy new TV doesn't work.
And yeah, like I said, sometimes the internet connection would be pretty bad. Like I remember when Steve Jobs was introducing the iPhone, and he was trying to use the internet off the building, and it didn't work at one point.
And that's why you don't do live demos. You pre-record it.
What could be the other problems that you would see you could see with this situation though? I mean, there are advantages, true, but
well, places like Vegas would lose a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
because there are so many major conferences held in Vegas,
and they rely on the tourism.
Yep. But anyway, speaking of flying, DJ, would an invisible jet have invisible emissions?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Wonder Woman about that. I can't say if it were.
Segue.
But speaking of speaking of Wonder Woman, the director for Wonder Woman 1984 has been doing a couple of hot takes lately. And she was talking to Total Film Magazine in relation to the new Wonder Woman movie that's coming out. And this Wonder Woman, by the way, Wonder Woman 1984, will take place decades later, where it's the continuation of Diana's story, but will be a different beast altogether. And what she basically said was, to me, that's what superhero movies, period, always were. I think the exception to that was Marvel had such success doing a shared universe, but that certainly shouldn't be the status quo. I think you should look at comic books. There's this huge variety of comic books, and their look and tone and world are radically different, and they don't always inevitably join together. Sometimes they do, and that's really fun, and that's the thing.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Not everything has to be the same and joined together, Marvel. Are you taking notes?
But here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. When Marvel do it, they do it well. When DC do it, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Do Marvel do it well, or do they just churn out the same formulaic story over and over again?
They do. Oh, I don't know.
Choose your answer carefully, DJ.
Okay.
I know you're a dirty Marvel hippie, but choose your answer carefully.
Okay, with Marvel, they are formulaic, but here's the thing: when it comes to the big fight, like Infinity War, for example, they lost the fight. They lost,
and then they won it in the next movie. They don't have the balls to permanently kill off their characters.
Well, it's the same thing with DC when they killed off Superman and they brought him back.
Yeah, sure, DC doesn't do it. Marvel doesn't do it much more.
Yeah.
Now imagine how much more devastating Infinity War would be if they didn't bring everybody back in Endgame. Why does the good guy always have to win?
Because, it's the good guys, the good guys.
That's not telling a good story, though.
Yeah, but it's not a mishmash of what, like, was taking one element from one end and another element from another end. It's not like borrowing from different elements. And with Infinity War and Endgame, it's they stuck to the source material.
The source material was better than the actual movie.
The source material is better than the actual movie, yes, but it's the same result.
So they couldn't even stick to the source material properly. They stuck to the source material and still screwed it up.
With in terms of Marvel?
Yeah.
In terms of Marvel, they didn't really screw it up. I mean, look at the fan reactions. Look at how much money it made out of it.
The fans are wrong.
The fans are wrong.
I will fight you all.
If any of our Marvel fans or DC fans are listening to this, okay, take note. It's the professor who said that, not me. Okay, so
While you were watching Marvel movies, I studied the Blade. No, I didn't. But I will fight anyone who thinks that the Marvel movies are good cinema.
Patty Jenkins also continues on to say, but a lot of times they have their own run. I'm psyched that DC and frankly Marvel's actually doing a bit more now with some of the tone of Thor Ragnarok and Black Widow and Doctor Strange. They feel very different in tone. But I love that I love that about DC, and I've always thought that that's a wonderful thing about DC. They were all so different. I mean, I get where she's coming from. Like, each movie should have their own flavor kind of thing. But sometimes it doesn't work, though. Like, for example, the new Harley Quinn movie. Sure, it was a different tone of a movie from the DC's shared universe, but it didn't end well.
Wait, Harley Quinn was different to the DC movie, and you're saying that's wrong, but the person who's talking about just said that's the thing they did right?
The way that Thor Ragnarok, Black Widow, and Doctor Strange, what they did was they did really well, like in terms of sticking to the source materials. There's a word I'm trying to think of, and not antagonizing your marketplace. That's what Harley Quinn did in with their movies. What they basically did was they antagonized the market, the fan base, and they messed up the characters as well. Like DC did a couple of things. DC have done some good things, like for example the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and that was good. Like they did Wonder Woman, they did good. But when they did the Justice League and stuff, it was just messy. Like not only the directors were also involved in it, but
you're still proving that point then, because this is the crossover stuff that's messy.
Yeah,
they're trying to say that they shouldn't copy the MCU and do all the crossovers.
Yeah, but
Justice League is a crossover.
Yeah, it's a crossover, but here's the problem, though. Here is the problem. Even though they'll say like, oh, don't do crossovers and stuff, you are going to see Warner Brothers saying, hey, let's do another crossover. So
of course they will, because marketing people are jerks. Then they have no artistic integrity.
Wait, what's artistic integrity again?
I didn't know you were a marketing person, DJ.
Nah, but that's the mind of like your Warner Brothers CEO and your Warner Brothers as a company. The corporations themselves, they don't really care about artistic integrity in itself. That's why Justice League didn't perform well, because there was so much studio interference. And that's also the reason why there was a Fantastic Four movie that came out a long time ago, and studio interference caused that movie to go badly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get where she's coming from.
Well, there's two elements to not messing up movies. There's not copying Marvel, and there's not having executives. Time for all the indie filmmakers to come out and show us what they can do.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Don't mess this up.
Wouldn't you be pissed off if Warner Brothers, for example, interfered in the Lord of the Rings adaptation, if they would ever do a reboot of the Lord of the Rings?
They will not, and if they do, we will never talk about it. There is no way they're going to make a better movie, a better Lord of the Rings adaptation than Peter Jackson's.
Yeah.
So, on to things that don't do well. Next up, we have a video game.
Okay, what's it about?
Come on, DJ. You asked me to cue you in for this one, for your joke.
I will. just
We have a video game that's doing badly, DJ. There's your cue.
Oh, you didn't end up doing it badly, but okay.
You should have picked that one up anyway.
Wait, this video game. No, wait, this video game you're talking about. Are you talking about The Last of Us Part 2?
No, I'm not.
Ah, nuts.
The game is WarriOrb. It's a Steam game that was released about a week ago. And before release, they had a free demo, which was downloaded by 80,000 people and had 90% positive reviews out of over 200 reviews. Over 16,000 wishlist. And the game was released in Chinese, Russian, Spanish, French, Hungarian, and Romanian. And I assume English, but they don't say that there. And it flopped.
Oh.
Yeah. So they reckon 20% of their launch sales would come from people who had it wishlisted and 80% from other places. So the numbers here say that they've sold 357 copies so far, and 178 of them were on somebody's wish list in 3 days. And even if sales stay the same, which they're not going to, sales will drop over time with any game. It's just flopped horribly. They've gone way under the expected numbers for wishlist sales. And they've got some reasons they reckon it might be from here. So their price was too high and their discount too low. They released for $18 with a 17% discount for a game that they reckon takes 16 to 20 hours to beat. People who wishlisting the games but don't pay at all. So they reckon their free demo showed up in the free-to-play hub, but they never made it onto the Steam front page. So possibly the people who are seeing the game in the free-to-play hub aren't the kind of people to pay for a game anyway. They reckon that their game's not hugely appealing, but it doesn't look great until you just start trying to play it. And maybe the 16,000 people who wishlisted it were waiting for it to be discounted or to see where the game goes after release. And then maybe the wrong day to release. They say the majority of indie games release on Thursday or Friday. They release on Tuesday, and they choose Tuesday because it's less crowded. They reckon maybe it's less crowded for a reason, which is very possible. It's just a bit tragic, really.
I mean, that sucks, though. Like, it sucks for the game developers, and in terms of they worked so hard to make this game, and then when it comes out, it just no one's buying this.
Yeah, it's really a bit of a tragedy.
What's the biggest reason out of those ones you see?
My theory is that it's a combination of it not making it to the main Steam page. So the issue of people who wishlisted it aren't the kind of people to pay for a game, and the wrong day to release. I think a lot of people probably aren't looking for a game to play on Tuesday, and are more likely to look for a game that comes out on the weekend.
It also depends on maybe like file size. Like, how much was the file size for this game?
I don't know, but probably not a lot. And most games, I don't think most people care that much. But I think also wishlisting a game isn't a promise to buy it. I think a lot of people use it as a discount tracker. That's how I use it. I put a game on there, wait until I think about it later, or it comes up on a discount, see if I'm still interested.
And then when the Steam sale comes in, then you go, oh yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah, and I think this is partly to do with Steam having such extreme discounts. I think having every store competing for free, like big discounts, and now giving out free games. Basically every store now is giving out free games for a subscription. So what are you going to do? Are you going to buy a game, or are you going to wait until you get free games that are usually pretty well regarded?
And the other annoying part about this is the fact that once you get the discount, it won't be a much of a big discount, would it?
No, probably not.
Yeah, like I'm on the WarriOrb's page at the moment, and right now it's going down for $27.99 right now.
Yeah, that's odd though. The release is the number they've got on the website is probably USD.
Nope, Australian.
Yes, I mean the number that they're listing in the article that I'm reading is probably USD.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Do you reckon this sort of practice should be phased out though? Like giving
I think it's great for consumers and bad for developers.
I mean, how much % would they get though from a sale? Like, let's say, for example, if I were to spend
Valve takes 30%. So you get 70% of your money back from a game sale on Steam.
Yep.
Which is fairly standard. Most platforms take about 30%. It's only really Epic that make a big deal about taking less.
Yeah.
And I see that they have received awards. They've got an award for DreamHack Winter 2018 Best Adventure and an Epic Mega Grant, which I assume is funding from Epic to finish their game, which surprisingly the game is not Epic exclusive.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that the reason why, could you say this is the reason why most games are also moving to Epic though? Because of the practices such as this?
Well, the being able to getting a bigger cut is appealing. I think a lot of the AAAs are going Epic exclusive, like even not just the AAAs, but a lot of companies are getting huge amounts of money to go Epic exclusive. And as a developer, you would be a complete idiot not to take that, because that's guaranteed money. You have no idea that your game will sell anything near what they'll make from an exclusivity deal.
So this kind of deal, it puts them in a lose-lose situation in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, either you go exclusive and get locked into one platform and take the money that you're being offered, or you don't and risk not making any money at all, like these people did. So I don't know if they were ever offered an exclusivity deal, but they've made, 375 sales in 3 days at, let's say, $15, because that was the launch deal price. I'm just putting up a calculator to do that. So that's $5,625 overall, minus the Valve cut. That's just under 4,000 American dollars, so $3,940 or so.
Wait, say that again?
I'm just based on the launch price. I'm getting $3,940.
That's not much.
No, and they've been working on this since 2018 at least, judging by the award. So they're not making their money back on this.
How many people are there in that company?
No clue.
I mean, 3,000.
I'm assuming just a handful.
3,000. That's not gonna. Yeah, that won't cover the staff costs and whatnot. Man, it does. Like stories like these, it makes you feel like, oh, game design. It takes out the veneer of it being a cool world. It's in reality, it's just a harsh world that everyone has to fight for themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that's true of any artistic field, any field really in general. 90% of what you see is gonna be crap, and even if it's not crap, it's gonna be completely ignored by most people. Like, how many Renaissance painters can you identify?
A handful.
Name them.
Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo.
You can't just list the Ninja Turtles.
No, I'm not. Oh, yeah. Okay, Ninja Turtles. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Van Gogh. Van Gogh wasn't Renaissance, was he?
No.
Dang. Yeah. Like I said, it's off the top of my head. I can only name like besides the Ninja Turtles.
And here's a Wikipedia link to go in the show notes of the a list of Renaissance artists, and there's a lot more of them than you just named, but nobody knows who they are. Only art people would know who they are, and there's a lot more game developers now than there were Renaissance artists who have been significant enough for us to remember them 500 years later.
Just curiously though, are we ever gonna see Steam and Epic get called out for this type of practice though, or do you reckon it will just be under the table?
I don't think it's Steam's fault. I don't think it's Epic's fault. I think in this case, it's just a flaw. It happens. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Yeah.
The developer doesn't know how to explain it. And I don't know if there's anything Steam could have done to push the game more or make it clearer that people should buy it.
See, what I'm thinking is, like, even if you release a game, like, Steam should offer some services, like, say, if your game doesn't work out, we can help you out, kind of thing. We can help you out with your sale of the games.
Why would they? Steam wouldn't make any money from that. You can't make money by bailing out people who aren't making money to begin with.
Yeah.
If you loan money to people who aren't making money, then you lose your money.
I guess so. I mean, I'm just feeling sorry for the guys who made the game. That's all. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish there was some way their game could have done better, because it looks like they put a lot of effort into it. I haven't played it myself, but it's better than those shitty asset flips that were all over Steam a few years ago.
You mean they're still doing it now, though? Like, what was that game I played a while back? Walking Simulator, which is basically a asset flip of a Death Stranding. If you play it.
Yeah, it used to be a lot worse, though. There'd be shitty games with no effort pumped out every day. And there's so many games releasing on Steam that every day that nobody can keep up.
Yeah.
But something on a lighter note, our next science topic is about autistic people leading new studies. And the article here points out that autistic people have different burnout to neurotypical people. And for that reason, autistic people tend to gravitate to different work. Obviously, the stereotype of an autistic person is good with computers or some technical skill that doesn't involve talking to people. Things like being able to work in a situation where you can focus on a single task, like data gathering in this case, it seems, is really, I think it's a really great place to put autistic people, because it plays to their strengths.
I agree with you there. I mean, it's good to see some representation in that area, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's great to be seeing more representation of autistic people. It's also great to have jobs that favor autistic people, because autistic people often have trouble fitting into a regular work environment. And instead of just shoving them in there and saying, square peg, round hole, deal with it, if you can get them a job in something like this and working to their strengths, then you save neurotypical people from not working to their own strengths. You give the autistic people a strength to work to. You get better quality work out of both of them. I don't see what there is to lose.
Yeah. I'm seeing one of the articles here, and they're saying someone saying, like, many of the new studies grow out of the social science practices established for other marginalized populations. Still, the shift towards including autistic people's perspectives has not been painless. Some scientists worry about introducing bias when someone with the condition under investigation is on the research team. But Nicolette,
I can see why they're concerned about that. And obviously it's something the research teams need to work on. But the article also points out that autistic people, you can't study autistic people using a system designed for neurotypical people, or you get bad data. Your data's going to be all messed up. The old saying, judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. If you got something completely unsuited to the task at hand, you're going to get absolutely terrible results.
I think it's good to see that the science world is not doing the whole one-size-fits-all approach anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, and also in this article, there's also another concern that includes autistic people in the research could decrease its rigor. As the person points out, to work she's done using survey instruments that autistic people help her modify. Among suggested adjustments to ambiguous response options was using percentages, such as I do this activity something percentage of the time. But autistic people... Yeah,
I see that. And it goes on to say that autistic people with intellectual disability have discomfort with percentages. In that case, your test instrument should be optimized to gather data from autistic people with intellectual disabilities. There's no reason you can't, if you're studying autistic people with intellectual disability, then tailor your study to get data from them. I don't see why they think it's an issue to do that. I don't know, maybe social science research is more into that sort of stuff, but the sort of stuff I have an interest in doesn't tend to. I don't see why, coming up with a test instrument to analyze the test subject correctly in any other field, I don't think would be an issue. So why is it an issue in social science?
Because it's a growing field, and while it's growing, you're bound to get problems like these, for example. So
yeah, that's just any growing field.
Yeah,
psychology in the 50s was full of nutcases. Freud, how much of Freud is still considered accurate?
Not a lot. I mean,
exactly.
A small, minute. But not a lot. I mean...
So in 50 years, will we throw out this data? Wait, 50s aren't 50 years ago. What if I get that old? In 70 years, will we throw out this data because we'll come up with something better? Maybe. But that's the point of science. You study something, and when you get better data, you study that data. Doing a study now doesn't fix it in stone. It's not like Freud said your id and your ego like to do salsa, and if someone does a study that finds out your id and your ego like to tango, then it's not locked in that they have to do the salsa. Am I getting a bit weird?
Yes, you are. But I will say this before we move on. I love the last bit that the author has written. That the author for the report written. Autistic voices should be heard and acknowledged first and foremost. She says, autistic adults, she adds, have the right and perhaps the duty to speak for ourselves.
Yeah.
I agree with her. I agree with that.
I think it's a big part of disability social work these days to make sure that disabled people are speaking for themselves, because we've had carers and nurses and people who look after the disabled people speaking for them for years, but now people are realizing, you get better results if you listen to the people with the actual issue.
Yeah.
But moving on, what are you playing, DJ?
I'm playing Legends of Runeterra.
And what is that?
That is a card game that Riot Games has brought out, and it features some of the League of Legends characters.
So sorry about the banging in the background, if that's picked up. I think it was. My neighbors have decided now that after staying inside for 6 weeks, they're going to go in and out all the doors. The entry vestibule sort of thing of my apartment block is a bit echoey, and I haven't seen or heard anyone go in or out in days, and now bang crash boom. But anyway, how does Runeterra go?
Runeterra, I'm starting to play this game, and so far it's very interesting in terms of it's not like your traditional Magic the Gathering cards where you have you have an instant or an enchantment or anything like that. With Runeterra, so each player begins the match with a hand of 4 playing cards randomly selected, 20-point health nexus, and 0 mana. And before the match, each player had the option to trade out. And on the beginning of the game, you take a card and stuff. The mana grows per turn, so it's not like Magic where you get as much land. You get as much land, and then you per each turn. It's a luck of Magic is luck of the draw. With Runeterra, it's different. So
okay.
So with this one, there are 3 types of cards. You've got the champions, followers, and spells. Your champions are the most powerful cards. Your followers consist of all the normal playable cards, and spells are basically the effects.
Does it feel well balanced?
It does feel well balanced. It has moments of where you just go, oh, okay, this game is getting a bit too broken here, but most of the time it does feel balanced. So, but I'm starting to play this game, so I haven't really delved into it too much.
Okay, will you be going back to it?
Yeah, it's a fun. It's fun when you play it against the AI, and I think I also played it with a couple of my mates, and yeah, we got the tar beaten out of us.
Yeah, that tends to be the way things go with card games for me too.
Yep. You just go, I just got thrashed.
So, what would you rate this?
I would rate this 4.5 out of 5. The one thing that really bugged me about this game is the microtransactions, and you got a lot of game economy as well in that game. Kind of turns you off, but what can you do?
Yeah, fair enough. So, I've been playing Crisis.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Has it
It's actually good. Like, I thought it was just a meme.
Has it melted your computer yet?
Only in the final battle, really.
Really?
Yeah.
So
The game itself is not terribly well optimized for modern computers because this was released back in 2007 before multi-core was the big thing. And they bet on high-performance single cores for the future when we've gone with multi-core. So the game's just not terribly well optimized for modern PCs because it isn't it just beats that single core.
oh man.
Yeah, but the gameplay and the story is really good, and the whole alien reveal pretty much given up by everything. Right. Everyone knows it's about aliens now, but I noticed the blurb on Steam completely gives it away.
Are you going to get the expansions as well?
Yeah, I've already got the expansions. I actually bought this a few years back for Crisis Warhead, which is a spin-off about one of the side characters. And I did that for MechWarrior Living Legends.
Because this Crisis game it's not a remaster, isn't it?
No, they did tease it. Like there was a remaster leaked recently, but there's no official news yet, as far as I know. Yeah. So
What's the biggest?
unfortunately, the leak for the Crisis remaster seemed to be for Crisis. The console ports of Crisis, which completely butcher the suit controls. So instead of having different suit modes, it all becomes it's all contextual. So if you sprint, you automatically go to sprint mode, which I can see why that would be nice for a controller because you don't have enough buttons. But it also means that you're burning suit power when you might want to be in, like, you can sprint normally if you're in any mode, or you can go to speed mode, and when you sprint, you drain suit power. So you might want to stay in armor mode and sprint slower, but you can't do that on console, and it doesn't look like you'll be able to do that in the re-release.
Like they're saying here that even the Nintendo Switch is going to have the Crisis remastered. I'm thinking to myself,
Wow.
like, how is that going to work?
That would take a hell of a optimization job.
Yeah. What's the biggest flaw you've encountered in this game besides optimization?
Probably, it's a good one because I don't think there's a lot of flaws in it. Well, I mean, I like everything. It's got I love that you can take a minigun and mow down the jungle like that scene in Predator. I love that these small buildings are destructible. So you can roll through you throw a grenade into a tin shack and the tin shack collapses.
Nice.
I like that you can, the levels are fairly open-ended, so you don't have to approach it directly from the, you don't have to go directly down the path the game sets for you. You can go stealth or go loud, grab an armored vehicle, grab a light vehicle and zip in there really quickly.
So multiple options of completing the mission.
Yeah.
So kind of like Deus Ex.
Yeah, kinda. I'm really looking forward to getting onto the sequels. I think the weakest part is that when the alien reveal happens, you then the big reveal at the beginning of the third act, you then spend a reasonable amount of time going through a zero G section, which is really nice. Like when you shoot your guns, you drift backwards and everything. It's just a really nicely done section. And I think the third act could have gone longer. So you do the zero G section, you do a section where you escape from the island, then you do the final boss fight. I think they could have stretched it out, add in more alien stuff. But apart from that, it's very good game.
So how much you rate this out of how many nerdy beanies?
4.7 out of 5, because the only thing I can really fault is the optimization.
Yeah.
It's still a gorgeous game even now. So on to our shout outs for this week. We found out that the Scrubs co-star Sam Lloyd passed away at 56 on the 30th of April. He played Ted Buckland on Scrubs. He was the nephew of Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future and was in more than 60 films and TV series. And he was a member of the a cappella group that Langston Beatles tribute band The Buttles. He died from an inoperable brain tumor and metastatic lung cancer. Next is on the 3rd of May 2020, the Kazuna AI hosted a Stay at Home with AI-chan project. What is the deal with this, DJ?
So
What is this weeb stuff?
Kazuna AI, come on, she's basically a YouTube AI, and so she made a project called the Stay at Home with AI-chan, and so to help out with people who want to have fun at home. So she's kicked off the project by streaming a concert that she had. And this was the first live concert called Hello World, which is now available to watch for free for 1 day only. So and that concert was held on the December 29th last year at Sep Diver City and December 30th at Sep Osaka Bayside. So the second part of the project was also selling the goods butcher themed after matching with Kazuna AI. But yeah, with Kazuna AI, she's a virtual YouTuber with self-proclaimed artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And she's famous for a lot of memes as well.
Okay. So also on the 3rd of May, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man turned 18.
That was the introduction of Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker.
And is this the one that has the weird upside down kiss?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So this movie came out in 2002. Was the first movie to earn $40 million in a single day, gross over $100 million in its Friday to Sunday domestic launch, and then make $114 million weekend debut, with $71 million second weekend, which is also a record. And for remembrances, on the 29th of April, Irfan Khan, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm just going to call him Irfan Khan.
Go on, Professor.
Sahabzadeh Irfan Ali Khan. Am I close?
Yeah.
He's an Indian actor who was famous for being in Hindi, British, and American films. He was cited as one of the finest actors in Indian cinema. His career spanned 30 years. He was in The Amazing Spider-Man, Life of Pi, Jurassic World, and Inferno. He was also in Slumdog Millionaire, which his first role was in Salaam Bombay. So maybe, DJ, you could add into the show notes a couple of other Indian movies he was in.
Yeah.
But he died from a neuroendocrine tumor at the age of 53 in Mumbai. On the 4th of May 1938, Kano Jigoro, a Japanese educator and athlete, the founder of judo. He came up with judo as the first Japanese martial art to get widespread international recognition and the first to become an official Olympic sport. He's also attributed to creating the black and white belts and the Dan rating. So in 1915, he described judo as the way of the highest or most efficient use of both physical and mental energy. Through training in the attack and defense techniques of judo, the practitioner nurtures their physical and mental strength and gradually embodies the essence of the way of judo. Thus, the ultimate objective of judo discipline is to be utilized as a means of self-perfection, and thenceforth to make a positive contribution to society.
It sounds like one of those ads, like, with the use of judo, you will be a positive member of society.
Yeah, it kind of does. But he also worked as director of primary education for the Ministry of Education. So he died of pneumonia at 77 aboard the motor vessel Hikawi Maru. On the 4th of May 2008, Fred Bauer died. Fred Bauer was an American organic chemist and food storage technician, notable for designing and patenting the Pringles packaging.
God,
He developed frying oils and freeze-dried ice cream. My favorite part of his ashes were buried in a Pringles can. And on to famous birthdays. On the 4th of May, course it's bloody done this, hasn't it? It's gone and moved my cursor, so I'd forgotten where I am in the show notes.
4th of May, 1655, Bartholomew Cristofori.
Thank you. Say his
So
full name.
Bartholomew Cristofori di Francesco.
Italian maker of musical instruments, invented the piano, which is crazy. I had no idea the piano was that young.
Oh yeah, but this was before. But the piano was I think before he created 2 other instruments as well.
Yeah. So, third time's the charm. So the first unambiguous evidence for the piano comes from the 1700 inventory of the Medici. So the entry in the inventory is as follows: An assembolo di Bartolomeo Cristofori di nuova invenzione si fa il piano. Why did you not translate that for me, DJ?
Oh, the translation's right below you.
Oh, okay. And so that is, without my horrible Italian reading, an Arpicembalo by Bartolomeo Cristofori, of new invention that produces soft and loud with 2 sets of strings at unison pitch, with soundboard of cypress without rows. And it goes on to describe it in considerable detail, but unfortunately that instrument is now lost. Bartolomeo is born in Padua, Republic of Venice. On the 4th of May, 1852, Alice Liddell. Alice Pleasance Hargreaves, in her childhood, was an acquaintance and photography subject of Lewis Carroll. One of the stories he told her during a boating trip became the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So when Alice was 10, she was traveling on a boat to Godstow for a picnic with Lewis Carroll, whose real name was Charles Dodgson, and he told her and her sisters a story. And this time, Liddell asked Mr. Dodgson to write it down for her, but he didn't get around to that for a few months, at which point he gave her the manuscript of Alice's Adventures Underground.
Still debating about the whole Alice thing, though.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting that, it's a story about Alice given to a girl named Alice, but it might not be based on Alice. And as in Australia, Alice, who the F is Alice? So on the 4th of May 1966, we have Jane Louise McGrath, the English-born Australian cancer support campaigner and former wife of former Australian cricketer Glenn McGrath. In 2005, they founded the McGrath Foundation, an organisation dedicated to raising money to fund breast care nurses in rural and regional Australia and to increase breast awareness in young women. So, on the third day of the first Sydney Test cricket match at the Sydney Cricket Ground each year is known as Jane McGrath Day. Spectators wear pink to show their support, and on the 5th of January 2013, Prime Minister Julia Gillard announced an $18.5 million donation to the foundation from the Australian government, which allowed all 44 existing nurse positions to continue and opened 10 more places. Which, rural health in Australia gets overlooked a lot. We've got the flying doctor, but there's a lot of things that people in the bush don't get checked out because the flying doctors for emergencies, they don't get into town often enough to go to the doctor. And yeah.
And they rely on charitable donations as well.
Yeah, they're one of the good charities, as far as I'm aware. They haven't had any scandals.
Yeah.
So on the 4th of May 1970, Will Emerson Arnett is the Canadian-American actor, comedian, and producer. He's best known for playing BoJack Horseman and George Oscar Bluth II in Arrested Development. He's received a nomination for a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy. He's also appeared in Blades of Glory, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he got 4 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Guest Actors in a Comedy nominations for playing Devin Banks in 30 Rock. He's also been in, he also plays Batman in the Lego Movie, which is the best Batman movie.
Oh yeah. And thanks to his involvement with the Lego Group, they put him as the host of the show Lego Masters.
Yeah, is that the same as that one that Hamish and Andy do?
I think so. I saw an ad for this one. I cannot believe there is a thing called Lego Masters Australia.
Yeah, but that's been going for longer than the American one, because the American one only started this year, but Hamish and Andy's Lego show was going for a couple of years.
It started in 2019, this first season for the Australian one. Second season. Yeah, at least started this.
Come on with something original for once.
Yeah, the American version. Yeah, it came out this year.
Okay.
That's the first season, so it's been renewed for a second season, and yeah.
Yep. So, the events of interest. On the 2nd of May, was the 50th anniversary of Hunter S. Thompson and Ralph Steadman's trip to the Kentucky Derby. So, in 1970, Hunter S. Thompson wrote the article, "The Kentucky Derby is Decadent and Depraved," which is the very first gonzo journalist article, which Hunter's style is basically go in and put himself in the scenario. Gonzo journalism is about first-person experience rather than just the facts reporting.
Yeah.
And Thompson and Stedman couldn't see the race from that position, but decided to focus on the celebration and depravity surrounding the event. On the 4th of May 1961, Malcolm Ross and Victor Prather attained a new altitude record for manned balloon flight in the Stratolab 5 at 34.67 kilometers. So the Navy pilot Commander Malcolm Ross and Flight Surgeon Lieutenant Commander Victor Prather ascended to a world record height in the Stratolab, and the record still held into this article's from 2011, but I wonder how high is that compared to Felix Baumgartner?
Oh, I think wasn't Felix Baumgartner didn't he just fall?
Yeah, he's the highest free fall, but he was in a balloon.
Felix Baumgartner, the main jump. From here, it's 38,969.3 meters.
Okay, so a bit higher.
Yeah, and I will say this: that whole event though was tragic as well. After they broke the record.
Felix or the other guys?
The other guys, yeah.
So I see here they wore Mark IV suits, pressure suits, which impressed NASA, and they used a version of it for the Project Mercury astronauts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, after an almost 10-hour flight and a horizontal distance of 140 miles, Prather drowned when he slipped into the water and his suit filled with seawater. And I see here, according to Wikipedia, the highest record is held by Alan Eustace, who reached 41,424 meters in a helium balloon, and then returned via parachute jump, which is like 3 kilometers higher than Felix Baumgartner. So why didn't we hear about this guy? Sponsorship, I guess.
Yeah.
Our last event of interest for this week is the 4th of May 2013 theatrical re-release of Doctor Who and the Daleks. So on this day in 2013 in the United Kingdom, the 1965 movie Doctor Who and the Daleks had a theatrical re-release. These are notorious for basically Terry Nation owned the rights to some of the designs from Doctor Who, and he took them away with him and they created a couple of movies starring Peter Cushing, who you might know better as Tarkin from Star Wars. So, except they had a lot of weird stuff. The Doctor was instead fully human instead of the debatable half human. But being in color, it was actually the first instance of different colored Daleks. Traditional Daleks all had one design. And originally Daleks were going to have flamethrowers, but this was vetoed for health and safety and because it would be too frightening for a young audience. So
imagine they do this. Imagine they do this now and be like, that doesn't even scare me.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, the BBC was receiving complaints about the Doctor Who theme because it terrified a child. So, unfortunately, they had to replace the flamethrowers with a CO2 blaster made out of a fire extinguisher. But that's all we have for this week. DJ, where can they find us?
They can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All of our stuff will be on our show notes. They can also find us on That's Not Canon, where we have an archive of our old episodes, and they can check out some of the old podcasts. What
is the Podfather's new etymology podcast?
I cannot. The name is so long, I cannot even pronounce it. Can you try it, Professor?
I've just got to pull up the link here. So we have an assemblage of grandiose and bombastic grandiloquence, and a new one from the last couple of weeks, The Misthole Museum of Mystery, Morbidity, and Mortality. Check those out. They're both quite good productions. The Misthole Museum is actually probably the fastest growing fan base out of any of the That's Not Canon shows. So definitely check that one out because, that many people can't be wrong.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything to add, DJ?
I've got nothing to add but to say take care of each other, stay hydrated, and see you next time. Hooroo!
You stole my line again. Have a good week.